All right, guys, we're here with Andy Slamans, voted the most respected man in FBA, and uh, actually not too far from all of us. You're over in Hershey, Pennsylvania, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So first, I'd like to get started just talking about how you got into Amazon, and I guess maybe your journey.
Sure. Yeah. So thanks for having me on the show. I've been looking at your group. Looks like it's a great group of sellers you got there. Now, real quick before I start into my story, are most of the sellers like based in around your area, Ohio area?
Everybody, I'm pretty sure that 99% of us are from Ohio.
Okay.
And I know that at the meetups, we've got people come from all the way down south in Cincinnati and all the way up in Cleveland. And we all come down to Columbus and meet up about once a quarter.
All right. So two questions: are they mostly Ohio State fans, and are they Cleveland Cavaliers fans?
Well, I mean, we are Ohio State fans. I've got Ohio State gear on the head and the stick today. And I can't say whether everybody's a Cavs fan, but I know that everybody is a bandwagon Cavs fan, at least for right now.
I will say this. I love the coach of Ohio State. I think he is a phenomenal coach.
He is. He's fantastic, and he's a good dude. He's done a lot for the community. I know that's part of the job, but
Right.
he does seem like a legitimately good guy.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Yeah, so I'll just real briefly kind of give you a history of how I got started selling on Amazon. I had a next door neighbor who lived right behind me, and she'd been doing books for a couple of years, and she was telling me all these stories that she was getting like crazy margins, buying them at thrift stores, and then sending them in. And I just kind of kept blowing her off. I thought it was like a multi-level marketing scheme or something, it just sounded too good to be true. And at the time, like there were no scanning apps when she was doing it. And so you had to like, I forget what they called it, but you had to download like the Amazon catalog into your PDA and then take it kind of that way. So that's what she was doing kind of way back in the day. And so it just sounded a little too good to be true, but she kept doing it and kept talking to me about it. So I finally, looked into it and then she gave me Chris Green's book to read. And so I read it, kind of made sense to me. So I kind of went down the same path she did. I started with books. I would go in thrift stores when I first started. I can remember scanning, sitting in a thrift store, like scanning all the books there 3 hours at a time. Not really having an understanding, of what sells and what doesn't sell. But in that time, I learned to analyze buys. And so that's how I started was thrifting. Then I moved to retail. One of my first big buys at retail was at Walmart. I spent like $3,000. It was an after Christmas clearance sale. And so then I was hooked on retail. So I really hit that hard. Then I really went hard on closeout grocery. So there's a number of like closeout grocery stores in our area. And so I was bundling, multi-packing, making a killing on Crystal Light, making a killing on Mio, those little drink enhancers. And I had high school kids that would work for me. So they were doing bundling. And that was fun, but it was always tricky, right? When you're doing grocery because of those expiration dates,
Mm-hmm.
and generally when you're going closeout, those are like, if you're lucky, you got 5 to 6 months, basically. And so those are like, you got to do like fast turn inventory. But I enjoyed that, was pretty successful at it. And then I stumbled on private label. Had a friend who was doing it already and ordering off of Alibaba. Her name is Maggie Cuslin. And she just shared with me a little bit about the model. Now, I had heard back then, really the only course, there was no Scott Volker, there was nobody else except for this huge course called The Amazing Selling Machine.
Yep.
And so they would like hit all the Facebook groups. And even back then, there was only a few Facebook groups related to selling on Amazon. But that had such a negative connotation, like retail sellers, Amazon hated Amazing Selling Machine because they were real spammy, right?
Right.
$5,000 and they gave their affiliates $2,500.
Oh, wow.
But they were really the first ones who kind of came out with information on how to import, how to private label, but you had to pay big money, to get their information. And so I just kind of looked away from it. And then Maggie talked to me and she said, hey, look, it's not as complicated as it sounds. So she explained the process to me, kind of coached me for my first couple of products. And then bam, I took off from there. And so I love it. I'm able to order 500,000 units at a time, send them in, and then just kind of sit back and watch the sales go.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Are you 100% PL now?
I'm about 90%. So I will do, like in fourth quarter, I'll do quite a bit of OA and a little bit of RA, just like on Black Friday or a little bit after Black Friday. I'll send some teams of people out. But about 95% private label. It's so easy. I'm really lazy.
Hey, I don't blame you, man.
Right.
So what do you do with all your free time?
Right. Yeah. So I got 2 kids. I actually homeschool them.
Okay.
I spend a lot of time doing that. My daughter will be a sophomore this year. My son will be in 6th grade. Okay. So I really enjoy that. And again, that's like, I really look at Amazon as a lifestyle business. It kind of gives me freedom to do the things that I really want to do.
Awesome. Well, if it's all right, I'll just jump into these questions, and then I'm going to steal a little bit of Tim Ferriss at the end and kind of maybe do like a quick succession of questions that are not necessarily Amazon related as well.
Sounds good.
All right. So the first one we've got is Malini says she's curious about how you protect yourself from potential lawsuits. And she brought up things like hovercraft. So I don't know if she maybe knows what one of your products is or something, but just worried about, getting sued and, getting wiped out.
Yeah. So that's a risk factor when you're private labeling. The ideal situation is that you have what's called product liability insurance on every single product that you have. The reality is, though, when you're importing from China or other countries, most insurance companies will not touch you unless you're like a real big corporation and you got a lot of money. And so, if you're going to bring a product and you want to do it with total coverage of product liability, you can probably look at paying between $15,000 and $20,000 a year. That's just for one product. And so, that had better be a very good income, generating product for you to be able to afford that, right?
Yeah.
So it's a great question to start with. If that's a concern that you have and you really want to cover yourself totally, you probably don't want a private label. With that said, and this is what I tell people, you always want to set up a LLC. And I always say you want to try to import and private label low liability products. And so you're not doing anything that's ingestible. You're not doing anything that's topical. You're doing simple products, right? And so clothing is a great product. A lot of people think, and the game's kind of changing on clothing. It used to be very name brand driven, and it still is. However, Amazon is such a powerful marketplace. Just go into the clothing category and look at what the top 100 best-selling clothing items are, and you're going to see a ton of private label clothing in the top 100.
Fascinating.
And so customers are just, I don't know if it's the price thing or they're just more comfortable, but name brand definitely on Amazon. The game's kind of changing when it comes to clothing. So that's what I would kind of say is you always want to set it up under an LLC. That's going to give you pretty good protection. Now, ultimately, what that would mean is if I had a product, so like the hovercrafts, I never did those, but those are the ones that were like catching on fire, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so, if you were to, if you were a seller that was selling those and that happened, someone got injured, they absolutely could come back and sell you. But what I would say is if you were going to import, and I'd never do electronics or anything mechanical like that, but if you were, you'd want to set that up under your LLC so that if something happens, you're basically going to go bankrupt.
Right.
You're going to bankrupt that company. Now, there are, like people say, you can pierce the corporate veil, and maybe maybe you can, but ultimately, because you can't get product liability, that's like your next best option is you're going to set that up under an LLC.
Perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what I figured.
Oh, let me say this too. Don't just think if you're private labeling, someone's going to sue you. Even if you're selling a name brand item, right? That customer's lawyer, if he's a shark, he's going to sue you. He's going to sue Amazon, and he's going to sue the brand.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, everybody's got to get taken.
If you are the seller of that item, they have a right. You can sue anybody for anything. They can still come back and sue you.
Absolutely. And I would imagine you've probably never had that issue anyway.
I've not yet. Thankfully, no, I haven't.
So low liability products. Okay. Have you done any clothing, any private label clothing?
I do. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds actually kind of interesting. Marketing. Do you only use the Amazon platform for marketing, or do you do any outside marketing to drive traffic to Amazon?
Yeah. So right now, I just use Amazon. So PPC I'll use, and I don't even use that a lot. Amazon is just such a powerful sales channel. If you pick a product that has limited competition, but there is demand there, right? And this is what I always say. And you can see that Amazon's the only one that gives the BSR, bestseller rank. There's no other website that gives that. And so, you and I can go on a Camel or Keepa, and we can see, even if it's just one listing, we can look at that listing and we can see if the bestseller rank, we'll just say any category is under 10,000 for like 6 straight months. Well, that tells you and I that Amazon customers are putting that keyword or keywords in the search bar. And so that's a golden product. Then all we have to do is bring one to market that is similar, that uses similar keywords, and my product is going to land right next to that seller's product, And so those are the 2 things you definitely want to do. And so you don't really need to use outside advertising if you go that way. Now you can, and I know there's people that will like set up click funnel pages, like give out discount codes and then run those through Facebook ads. You never want to drive traffic to your Amazon listing unless it is like warm or hot traffic. Because if people are clicking on your listing but not buying it, that actually hurts you.
Right.
Because then Amazon says customers are coming to this, but they're not buying it, so we're not going to put it in search anywhere. Customers don't want it. So you never want to send somebody or people to your listing that aren't ready to buy. And by using like a click funnel through Facebook ad with the promo code, if they go through that, then they're serious about buying it. So then that's when you can reveal your Amazon page to them.
Okay. All right. So that brings me to a lot of other questions. Let me tell you my first foray into private label. And I share this with anybody who wants to talk about it because I made a big mistake. So I like the self-defense industry for private labeling. So my first product was a monkey fist. Are you familiar?
A monkey fist?
Yeah, it's called a monkey fist.
Huh.
Okay. It's also known as a slung shot. And it's a paracord keychain with a 1-inch steel ball wrapped around the end.
Okay.
Marketed toward women, wear it on your keychain, you're good to go. Well, I didn't read close enough, and of course it was restricted. It's not something you can sell.
Okay.
I found that out after I sold out, and then I just deleted the listing, and everything was fine.
Right.
But when I was trying to figure out, I really just took a guess. I have something that I could order a small quantity of, something I thought would do well, and it did well. I sold above the market price, and I did a little bit of PPC, and for $1.20, I sold out of my 50 units in a week.
Oh, good.
But my question is because I kind of went in blind, how do I really figure out if a private label product is something I want to compete with the other sellers on?
Right. And so like with that item, were there other ones selling on Amazon?
Yes, and there still are. I don't understand how their listings are still active.
And they're selling Prime?
Yes, they are.
But you were selling Prime and Amazon sent you like a policy warning or whatever.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah. And then I went and double checked because I was like, this sounds like it's wrong. The other sellers have been on there for years and using similar to the same keywords.
Right.
And they're not being kicked off. But I can see in the terms that slung shots are against terms of service.
And they use the other sellers use those terms like in their product description or.
Absolutely.
Huh.
So, and I know that's the Amazon marketplace. I get it's a jungle, and not everything can be policed. But and that's not here nor there. What I really want to talk about is on the next one, how do I go in and figure out what parameters I should use to make an educated decision as to what might sell well?
So you're not necessarily talking about doing that, like choosing a product that all of a sudden you can't sell.
Right. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that. Everybody needs to read their own terms of service there.
Right.
But
so you're looking, okay, yeah, I hear you. So these are the two things that I say that you need. Now there's a lot of tools out there that you can use, right, to find products like Jungle Scout and a lot of other stuff. But these are the two things I say that if you're researching and looking for a product that you absolutely have to go by. The first one we just talked about was the bestseller rank.
Mm-hmm.
You want to find a product that has a decent rank. Now, I like anything from 5,000 all the way to 35,000, depending on the category.
Right.
And even in most categories, there's a few where 35,000 are just kind of duds. But in a lot of categories, 35,000, you're doing okay. And so the first thing I always want to see is there consistent history and average of a bestseller rank on this product, right? And so if I find a listing like that, then that kind of gives me an idea again that Amazon customers are putting that in the search bar. Then the second thing that I look for is how much competition there is on this product. How many other similar product pages are there of this product? And this is where I've seen for the last 2 years, most people, like my son says, if you're in football and you get hit, you get wrecked. Like this is where the most times that I see Amazon sellers get wrecked. They'll find a product, right? They get happy because they see how much they can source it for on a site like Alibaba, but they fail to analyze the competition properly, and it's too saturated, and they bring it to the catalog, and it's just like a retail item that has 100 sellers on it. The price just goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the second most important part. And so what do you do? So if your item is like what you had before, I would put the search terms in, like I'm an Amazon shopper in that Amazon search bar, and I'm going to see how many listings come up. And it depends on each category. It depends on how much customer demand is that can support the amount of listings. But I always like to say, if you find one where there's you got to click 1, 2, 3, 4, or, go into 5 pages of similar listings, then you want to stay the heck away from a product like that. My best listings are always ones where there's only 1, 2, 3, or 4 other listings that are like it.
Okay.
Those ones are always winners. I mean, you can't lose. Here's the deal. You want to be on the first page. When someone puts that keyword on in the Amazon search bar, you want to be able to land on the first page. Now you can, if there's 2 pages of similar listings, you can give away enough units, to move to the first page. It's just a little harder. And you got to be willing to spend more money, right? By generating that sales velocity. But I'll be honest, there are still many products where you can bring right now, into the category, and there's still only 1 page worth of those products. So those are the 2 things. Look at that BSR, and then 2, make sure that it's not too saturated.
Okay. How do you, how do you how do you get an idea then? Are you just searching through catalog pages and you just see something that looks interesting to you, or are you seeing something at the store and then you think you want to bring that to the marketplace?
Yeah, I would say all of it.
Okay.
And again, people will. This is my best way. And now I've been doing this for almost 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Just like anything, when you become more experienced at it, I've gotten better at it. But for me, the number one way right now is I'll go into a category. I'll look at what the top 100 selling products are. I'll usually kind of go down to between like 75 and 100. I'll click on that. And then I'll look under customers who bought this, also bought this, or customers who viewed this, also viewed this. I'll click on that.
Okay.
And I just keep going through that process, right? Customers who bought this, view this. And that always leads me then to a product that, that eventually I like, okay, this has private label potential.
Okay.
And so it's basically kind of like looking in the Amazon catalog as a shopper, right? As a customer. Now, again, like Jungle Sky will try to say, hey, look, come use my tool. You can do all these different filters, which you can, but you got to understand that's what everybody else is doing too.
Right.
And so I generally found the more time that you spend in the Amazon catalog and become familiar with it, you just become better at finding those products, and it's free.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the best.
But here's the thing, Chris, this is where people give up. It takes time.
Yep.
And so you've got to chunk out 3 hours or 4 hours. Get yourself, 2 cups of coffee or, Coca-Colas, whatever you do, and sit down and chunk out 3 hours where you're going to do that. And when you find a potential, add it to your wish list, and then just go back, repeat the process in a different category and just keep doing that and keep adding to your wish list. And then the next day, just come back and you can vet, then all those products in your wish list and see if those are good or not.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. That's great. So once someone goes through all of that, is Alibaba the holy grail of sourcing, or are there other places that you should look to?
Yeah. So this is where it gets a little tricky. You got to kind of know what you're doing, or, maybe know someone. Like, this is where I really relied heavily on my friend Maggie, because what you want to do is you want to be able to connect with a manufacturer. However, on Alibaba, probably 50 or 60% of the folks advertising are trading companies, right? And so, it's hard sometimes to try to figure out, is this a trading company or is this a real manufacturer? And that just takes a little bit of experience, and maybe if you listen to like Scott Volker's, I don't really listen to his podcast much, but maybe he covers like on how you filter down to a factory. Mm-hmm. I have a sourcing agent who works for me. And so she knows she only goes to manufacturers, because what will happen is you'll go to Alibaba and those trading companies, they will like upcharge you 40 to 50%.
Oh, wow.
Of what you can get it for from a manufacturer. The tough part is a lot of the manufacturers only speak Chinese.
Right.
And so, being able to use an agent is huge.
Okay.
Because they know they're going to go direct to those factories. Again, it has to be someone that you can trust.
Right.
And I'll go on Alibaba, right, just to get a general idea of what they're selling for. And then I usually in my head and say, okay, if it's that price there, I can usually get it for 40 or 50% less.
Oh, wow.
I contact my agent then who goes direct to the manufacturer.
Okay.
But at least it'll give you kind of a general idea of what you can get it for.
Right. So is using a sourcing agent something someone should think about on the front end before they private label their first product, if they can find someone? Or is that
absolutely.
Okay.
So, I actually just started a sourcing service. People have been asking me forever to do it. I haven't really wanted to do it. But I just started one. Yeah, on your first order, you'll make the money back that you pay. Mm-hmm. And more, because you're getting upcharged 40 or 50% per piece,
right?
And so you'll make that money back quick just on your first order by using a sourcing service who's going to find you the best price through a manufacturer. That's
genius. That has been the thing that's held me back from jumping in with both feet on private label. Is I know that the things on Alibaba are overpriced. Otherwise, people wouldn't be selling them for what they are on Amazon currently.
Right. So, okay. And it's interesting because those same trading companies, right, that are selling to a lot of people that are sourcing there, they're the ones selling on Amazon as well. And so it's not the manufacturers, because there's this big fear, and it is coming. You see a lot more Chinese sellers on listings, and a lot of people think, oh, crap, the manufacturer is selling on Amazon. and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all of those people selling on Amazon, all the Chinese sellers, they're third-party sellers just like you and I.
Absolutely.
So they're buying the product from the manufacturer just like us. So that's why, you know, and maybe in 10, 15 years, maybe the manufacturer will be savvy enough to be able to understand how to sell on Amazon. But right now, it's just third-party sellers in China, just like us, that are buying those from the manufacturer.
Fascinating. Okay. I'll move on past this. I've probably hit you enough on that. Let's see here. We talked about the outside marketing. Did you do any brand registry on any of your products?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Do you do that on every single one, or do you white label some and private label others?
So I brand registered like my main brand, my best selling brand. It's in one category. It's one that I have trademarked as well. So I spent like $700, you know, to get the official trademark on it. And so like I have 16 or 17, you know, separate SKUs. It's in the baby category. And so all the items are, you know, like baby related. And so, yeah, I mean, brand registry is nice. You know, the best thing about brand registry, and many people don't know this, but you don't have to use UPCs. And so when you register your brand, right, with Amazon, you no longer need to use UPCs.
Okay, so you don't have that whole GS1 issue coming up.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now it is tricky. It's not an easy process. I shouldn't say it's not an easy process. It's just tricky. Like there are very certain things that Amazon wants to see, right, on your product. But that's a way. Yeah, you can. All this fear, right, about the GS1. You just do away with all that.
Okay.
Register your brand. You don't need UPCs anymore.
Okay. Now, did you do that before you actually sent things into Amazon, or did you do it after you got the listing already?
Yeah, so you have to do it before because when you list each product, Amazon, in the title, they want you to do it a very specific way.
Okay.
And so you have to get approved first before you create your listing.
Okay. Let's see. A lot of these are from Johnny. He just got his first PL product ready to go. But
oh, cool.
I'm sure someone's tried to piggyback your listing before. Or duplicate your product and your label. What have you done? What kind of issues have you had? And then what did you do to fix that?
Yep. So all of my products I have branded, with my brand on them, whether they're underneath my trademark brand or they're just like a separate widget in another category. I always have specific label, like sewn on it or a specific hard brand put on it because it's going to make it a lot harder than for someone to piggyback. The way I deal with it is if someone comes on my listing, I'll send them a message just through Amazon. And you're probably not supposed to do this, so don't necessarily listen to this advice. This is how I've done it. It's worked for me. I'll say, hey, I noticed that you listed on this listing. I realize that you don't have the brand on your product, or I imagine you don't. If Amazon catches you, they are going to consider that just a counterfeit product, and they're going to issue you at minimum a policy violation and then possibly shut your account down. I said, I have not reported you to Amazon. I'll give you 36 hours to remove yourself. If you've not removed yourself, then I'm going to report you to Amazon. 90% of the time that works.
Okay.
They jump off right away. If they don't, then I will buy, and I'm sure you've heard this before, then I buy the product from them and take photos, show their product against my product, send that into Amazon, and then Amazon kicks them off.
Okay. Yeah. And that's what I figured it was. Let's see here. What was your biggest problem related to private labeling?
So there's been a number of them. I mean, just like anything, there's always bumps in the road.
Oh, yeah.
So I was in a hurry one time setting up a promo code. And if you've ever set up a promo code, it is the stupidest way they have you set it up, right?
No kidding.
And I've done many of them before. It was like at 12:30 at night, right? Was setting it up, and I forgot to uncheck the box, where it says, do you want this product or displayed text, right, on your listing? Forgot to uncheck it. I had like 10,000 units, right? And at the warehouse, about, it was like around $11,000 value or something. And so went to bed, and I just had this weird feeling. Maybe I woke up, I don't know when I woke up, like at 4 or 5 in the morning. I wanted to check it, right? And bam, my entire inventory was gone. Right. And so it was like, $11,000 worth.
Oh, wow.
Inventory flushed down the toilet. And it was all Korean sellers. So they have some type of computer program that will comb Amazon, will scrape Amazon. And if it finds a promo code, on the display page, then bam, they get it. And then they disseminate that, like to all these websites or whatever.
That sucks.
Yeah, so it was basically like I flushed. So I woke up, and then I had to wait until 9 a.m. Eastern time because Amazon's customer service doesn't open up. So I call them. I'm in a frantic mode, and they're like, look, we're sorry. This happens every day. I'm like, then change the dang way that you do it. So they were only able to recall like 200 units.
Oh, wow.
But the funny thing, though, was I was number 1 in home and kitchen. for like a couple hours, and I took a screenshot of that.
At least you got that. You could frame that or something.
Right. There was one customer, I don't know how he did it. I was just sick. He ordered like 150 of them.
Oh man. Was your code for like at cost, or was it completely free?
Free.
Oh.
Yeah, so then I lost, on top of the price I paid for the inventory, you lose it's like $360, for the prep and for the ship fee or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Man. Oh, let's see.
So never set up a promo code unless you are wide awake and you remember to uncheck that box.
No kidding. Now, we kind of answered this before, but do you sell outside of Amazon at all? You have your own Shopify or BigCommerce or anything like that?
I don't yet.
Okay. Is that something that you think is a good idea down the road for?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
If you're smart or you have other people that can help you, work on it, it's a phenomenal idea. However, I mean, the Amazon, again, the sales channel is just so powerful and strong. It's like one of those decisions you have to make. Do I just keep throwing things on Amazon because I know they're going to sell?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, yeah, you definitely want to try to diversify as much as you can.
How many of your ideas do you think never panned out or have just been complete duds?
Yeah, so I've been pretty lucky. And it's similar to retail. Like when you buy a name brand item, usually the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to break even maybe, or lose a little bit per unit. That's just the way it works. That's the great part about our business. You can take a risk on something and for the most part, if it's like a race to the bottom or whatever, you're going to break even or lose a little bit of money. And the same thing when you private label, as long as you go by those first 2 principles. That you have a consistent historical BSR and you have limited competition. But even if you mess up on that second one and it's too saturated, for the most part, again, you can drop your price low enough where you're going to break even or just lose a little bit of money.
Okay.
If that first one is in place where there's customer demand for that product. I should have said too, where I see a lot of people loses, they think they have this idea, or maybe they see a product selling somewhere else and they think, well, man, this might sell on Amazon, but they haven't really vetted that and seen that it sells on Amazon. And then they put it on there and then for some reason there's no demand.
Right.
But again, like that's like the worst case for me. I'll give you a story which again, it kind of shows the power of the Amazon marketplace. And this goes into your other question about mistakes. So whenever you're importing, you always have to get samples from the manufacturer. So never place a large order until you get a sample, and until you measure that sample, until you test it, until you vet it, until you fall in love with it. It's got to be exactly what you want, right? Don't ever place a large order until you see what that factory does. And this is why. So I had a factory I was working with. They produced a great product for me. And it was very good quality. I went to them and I said, hey, can you make this, right? And it was a bamboo nursing pad, okay?
Okay.
And so they were like, yeah, sure, I can do that, no problem. I gave them the measurements. This one was going to be a little larger. They said, do you want a sample? I said, no, it's fine. Let's go with it. So they made it, and it was like 500 units, and it came back. And Chris, the thing was like the size of a pancake. Right? I mean, I can imagine the Chinese ladies when they were building it. They must have been like, man, there's some big-breasted women in the U.S. And she kept telling me, she kept messing me. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because I did want it bigger, but I didn't want it that big. And so this thing was humongous, right? And so I'm thinking, man, this is never going to sell. I don't even know what size, woman would use it. But I said, I like Amazon. The sales channel is strong. So I put it on there as and this is the title, XXXXL size bamboo nursing pad. So people would know. And, then in the bullet points, I said, this is super large. And I sold through all 500 units.
Wow. Hey, they're out there. Women are out there that need them. So
right, yeah. Now my price was lower, and so I was making like $1 maybe off of it. But all my concern was I just want to get my money back.
Absolutely.
But the point is, that was a mess up product, and it still sold.
Right. That's fascinating. And that's pretty much. I'm not sure how many people have I know that intestinal fortitude is what really keeps me back from doing it. But let's go outside of the whole Amazon thing, and let me maybe do a couple of rapid fire questions.
Okay.
The word success. Who comes to mind? Who's a mentor? Who do you look up to? Those kind of things.
Yep, sure. So, for me, success always starts in the home. And so, if I'm looking even for someone who's to mentor me in business, I always want to see what their home life is like. So if they're married, I want to see is that solid? Do they talk about their wife, behind their back, or, what are their kids like? And so, because you can't fake yourself at home. Right? Because your spouse or your kids, they know the real you.
Right. The two people who know you the best are your little kids and your dog.
Right. Yeah. And so and one of the guys that I just naturally kind of went to was Chris Green. I love what he does. I love his family. I think he's just a super solid guy. He's been a huge mentor. I reached out to him. In fact, he didn't know me from anyone. I sent him 3 Facebook messages. At the time, we had a huge house in Hershey. We were house parents for 15 years. And during the summer, the kids would go home. And so we would have this huge 10,000 square foot house, right?
Oh, wow.
And Hershey's a big tour spot. So I sent him 30 messages. Hey, Chris, why don't you bring your family here? You can have the whole house to yourself. I'll get you free tickets to Hershey Park. And he kept, just not opening, whatever. And then finally on the 30th one, he was like, all right, Andy, this is the days, can you do this? And I was like, yeah, great. So he, brought his family out, and then I just got to spend a little time with them. And so he's been huge, very instrumental. But again, for me, the success is always, I don't really care how much money you make. I don't care what your business is like. I want to see what you're doing at home.
Perfect. Awesome. What things should people read, or maybe what books, what information has been the most influential on you? And it can be business or personal, either one.
Yeah. So it's funny because the last 3 years for me, the majority of the reading I do is on Facebook.
I hear you.
Like I don't really deep dive into any like real, profound business books. I really depend more heavily on people. And this is why I love Facebook so much, is because for the most part, you can get people in real time. And the information is in real time as well. Now you do got to filter, through some of that. But when I'm chatting with somebody on Facebook, you get a pretty good understanding of who they are, right? Mm-hmm. It's almost like going back to when you used to do handwritten letters. When you get a handwritten letter from somebody in the mail, it has a little bit of a deeper meaning, right? Like a little more thought. Well, Facebook chat is kind of similar in a way. When you get into a discussion with somebody, it can be a little more profound, a little deeper. But again, I go back to that. For me, a lot of the stuff that's kind of rubbed off on me is ideas from other people that are in this space, when it comes specifically to selling on Amazon.
Perfect. Last question, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. What's the best place to reach out to you? What's your Facebook? You have a website, anything like that?
Yep. So I'm on Facebook. Just search for Andy Slamans. There's no one else with a weird last name like that. Name.
My wife thinks your last name is the best thing ever, by the way.
It's a good name if you're a basketball player.
Yeah.
So that's the first place. My website is amazingfreedom.com. So I actually just got that. I paid $3,000 for it.
Oh, wow.
Which was kind of crazy, because, but I love the words. I love amazing. And I love the freedom, that the Amazon business gives to us. And so I was willing to shell out the money for that. So all of my YouTube videos, all of my content and stuff is at that. It's amazingfreedom.com. So,
awesome.
That's kind of it. And look, I know a lot of guys in your group know this already, but I just say too, and I just read this quote from Jeff Bezos a couple of days ago. Someone was talking to him and he shared with them, he said, look, we're still in the first inning. Like the way that technology is going to kind of transform our lives is that we're still in the first inning. And he says, and he thinks that we're going to kind of enter into this golden era. I think that too. I think, and especially when it comes to selling online, I think that we're still just in the first inning. So that's why it's exciting, for all of these groups that I'm a part of, because I still think that we're kind of on the forefront of what's going to continue to come.
I agree 100%. The percentage of online sales compared to brick and mortar is still nothing, and it just keeps growing. So I think we've got a lot of potential, even though I do think there's quite a bit more belly aching going on Facebook than there should be.
But you know what? Now I know you're trying to end the show. A lot of that is just lack of creativity.
Yeah.
And that takes work. It absolutely does. Like today, I just met with 2 other sellers here in my area, in my town in Hershey. Mm-hmm. And we're coming up with this new product line. And these ladies, they went out and they got like 2 huge cardboard pieces. I forget what they call it. And they came up like with these designs, right? And so we had a meeting. Bam, they had these designs on these 2 huge cardboards of this new product line. And they had probably put in 10 hours of work, right? Mm-hmm. This stuff, they're basically kind of making a pitch to me. But doggone it, the creativity that they had put into it was phenomenal. And for the most part, Chris, Amazon sellers don't do that.
I agree 100%. And I think we have a huge advantage, because for those who aren't creative, and I don't consider myself a creative, I can do it when I push myself to, but I think that we can find creatives and then hook up with our business knowledge. And there's all kinds of partnerships that just are not delved into yet that need to be.
Yeah, just look in those categories. Look at some of the listings, right? That can be spruced up so much better, or the photos could be so much better, or even like the actual products. When you add some creativity to it, you can really change, in that kind of way. And I think that's where you and I that's where we need to move into, not just doing the plain Jane, products or the plain Jane listing.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I'll be honest with you. I could sit here and talk for hours, and and I know that you've got kids, and it's almost time for me to pick up my guy from school. So
All right.
I really, really appreciate it. I'm going to post this in our group. I'm going to post it on YouTube. I'm going to make sure to have your website. And is it okay if I link to your Facebook page?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'll link to your Facebook page so people can reach out if they have questions. And then if anybody has any more questions that we didn't answer, feel free to ask them in the group. And if it's all right, I may just shoot you a message if somebody has something we didn't get to.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, great. I really appreciate your time, man. I appreciate all the info you shared today.
You bet. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks.